Welcome back to the third episode in the Mess to Mission series with our best friend Julie. And we have talked about our home life, we have talked about being a mom. Now we are talking about our workspaces and operations, routines, things from all different dynamics of just how we kind of coordinate and systemize our workspaces. So I'm going to let you go because we were just going to chat for an hour before hitting the record button. So you just let it all out, sister. You are the starting point.
Yeah, I was like, if we're gonna riff, we might as well riff on camera. Let's do it. One of my favorite things that I've implemented for work life is the work uniform. I don't want to have to think too hard about what it is that I'm going to wear or what it is that I'm going to need for the next day. I find I have a lot more like capacity in the evening. And so I actually have a little, what's it called? Like a tailoring bar. You can buy them on Amazon. My husband, when he designed our closet, it was like an available accessory. So it's this little bar that pulls out in your closet and then you can retract it. But it's basically to hang up to plan your outfit for the next day, or like if you were going to steam your clothes or whatever. So I actually, at the end of the evening, will like put up my outfit for the next day, like even down to shoes, so that I don't have to. And it's like so much easier for me to think through that, not in the morning, right? Because the morning is chaotic. And like getting dressed for me is typically the last thing that I do before I leave the house. And so it's always the most rushed thing. So if I've already done the work of what I'm going to wear, I don't have to think about it. I just put it on, and that takes very little time. And then I'm just out the door. And so the concept of this work uniform is like, I generally know what kind of pants or what kind of top or whatever. I've worked in offices that are like super business casual, and I've worked in offices that literally don't care, like down to like just please wear closed-toed shoes. So like everything in between. So it really does depend on where you're at and what works for you. But the concept of having this uniform, this sort of basic outfit formula, really can help streamline that process, because when we're talking about processes, we want to reduce the number of decisions that we have to make, or like choice points, because that's the
Yes.
thing that takes time,
Decision
right?
fatigue.
Yes, and it's real, especially as a parent, because as a parent, you're not only making decisions for you, but you're making decisions for other people within your household that don't have capacity to make decisions, right? So that decision fatigue becomes real. So the more you can sort of alleviate that pain, or you can like I do that in the evening and set it up for the next day so that I'm not starting my day out with, God, what am I going to wear? Or I have nothing to wear. I have
Yes.
nothing to wear. And
Or
sometimes
what
like
I
I'll just
thought
like,
I was going to wear is dirty. That's the worst. Like, you're like, shoot, I was
and I was
looking
just
for
gonna
this.
say, I come up on that in the evening. I'm like, okay, I can run a quick load tonight before I go to
Hmm.
bed. And then what I want to wear tomorrow will be available and ready for me, and I can go get it in the morning. So like that kind of thing can help set you up for, I mean, typically when we're thinking about getting dressed, that's in our first segment of the day. And if you don't feel good about the first segment of the day, I don't know about you, but that can really set me up to not feel great about the entirety of the rest of the day. So
Yes.
it's one of those little things that, like, that investment the night before can pay dividends to just help me get into the day in a space where I'm like, okay, I've got this. I can handle whatever is coming next, right? So I I've just decided, based on where I'm at, what I like and what feels comfortable and what looks good on me. Here are the things. They're all hanging in my closet. I have enough things to get me through a week. Then the choices, instead of being all the choices, then it gets funneled down into, here are some options for me. And then by doing that the night before, when I have more capacity to make decisions, it doesn't feel like I have to do this so quickly. It makes it easier. So I do like taking that, oh, what am I going to wear today, off of my decision fatigue immediately in the morning. Another thing that I like to do is kind of create flexibility within my day. So when I'm scheduling things, especially at work, I'm a big fan of time blocking within my work calendar. Um I I'm kind of the weirdo of my office. I take my breaks and I go on walks like around the outside the office, and people like come and go at my office, and this is like at every office I've worked at. They come and go and they'll see me outside walking around and they'll like honk and wave. Like, oh, I saw you out walking today. That's so great that you do. And I'm like, yeah, this is my mental health break. And it's also good for my physical body. And I get to take like that mental break from just looking at, my office or my computer screen for long stretches of time. I get that break as well. So that kind of thing where like if I didn't have enough time to do 30 minutes of exercise in one time block during the day, well, now I have two breaks and I went for a walk for each of those 2 10-minute breaks. So that's 20 minutes of exercise. And then
And
maybe
it's
I can do
so
another.
good for you. It's so good for you.
Science has proven that you do not have to do the exercise all in one 30-minute block. The 10-minute segments throughout the day are as good as doing it all in one block. So I like to put that out there. Like that is a way to create flexibility and access fitness in your life. And it's also good for you in many other ways. And then you can be that person in your office that everybody sees and waves at. And like I feel like I'm a celebrity. I'm like, oh yeah, I did go for my walk. I saw you. I waved. Did you see me wave? And they get so excited. Like, I saw you. It was great. Like, oh, well, we just had a moment of connection. That's fun. I also sometimes take shorter lunch breaks so that I can have more time in the afternoon. I actually schedule an afternoon for myself once a week where I have this like 90-minute window um, to myself. And sometimes I'll exercise and sometimes I'll do like an everything shower or sometimes like I'll go run an errand that's really important to me. But I have that 90 minutes of, I think lately people have been calling it no one needs me time. And so you can actually do that in your workspace as well. Like you can use that time blocking method and like not look at your email and actually get some focus time in because you are dedicated, you're blocked off. You can treat it like a meeting. Like I'm in a meeting with myself. This is no one else needs me time. I'm
And
gonna
don't
get
call me.
right. Yeah, you can mute. Like if you're in a meeting on Teams, Teams will not allow calls to come through because you're in a meeting. So if you time block your own time in Teams, it won't let calls come through on Teams.
I have like
It'll,
PTSD you just talking about this.
I mean,
I don't,
Teams
the
is not the
word teams is like, okay,
Teams is like industry standard, but also like the bane of.
yes.
But I mean, you still like you have Slack and you have all these other options that are like Teams. But I mean, the basis of this is the same. If you block off that time for yourself and you treat it as if you were in a meeting with someone else, but you're in a meeting with you. If you were in a meeting with someone else, you wouldn't be accepting another call. You wouldn't be answering questions. And so that's a good way to get like that focus time or like create that flexibility within your schedule to just be like, this time is spoken for. And I like doing that. And sometimes, like at the beginning of the month, like I'll look ahead. Like I've got, like invoicing is always one of those things like I have to do every month. And there's like a specific time of the month during which I need to get it completed. And at the beginning of the month, I'll go in and I'll time block that time. Like, okay, this is when I'm going to handle taking care of invoicing. This is when I'm going to handle reviewing these reports. This is when I'm going to, because I know when they're going to come. And then, like, I just don't have to think all that hard about it. And I'm not freaking out because, like, a deadline has passed because that's
Or that
already
you forgot to do it in its entirety.
right. Yeah, because it's already been, And sometimes I'll just set recurring. Like, I'll put that thing in and I'll just say, this happens every month on this day.
Yeah.
Done.
Because when you can predict, you don't have to react. It's so good. So
Yeah.
good.
And then the last thing that I have on my list is I like to do this. You and I have different versions of the same ritual. So I'm just going to say this ritual of like either closing out your week or opening your week
Mhm.
where you're kind of looking at, so I like to do it on Friday afternoons because I'm like, okay, like what happened just now while it's fresh, and like what needs to happen next week. And then I'll like, if I need to, like I'll go schedule those time blocks to like take care of specific things, or I'll like make a list, like these things need to happen. Or sometimes like I'll set a reminder in my phone, like remind me on Tuesday at 9 a.m. that like this is a thing that I need to look into. And like when I do that at the end of the week, or if you do it at the on Monday, um that again, that decision fatigue, that anxiety over forgetting something or dropping a ball or not having it all together, that gets diminished significantly, if not removed entirely. Again, we're talking about systems as a way to help you. These are the things that you can put in place to help you not feel like you're drowning. That's the whole point of it. And if you've got these routines or these rituals or these systems or these processes, whatever you want to call it, in place, you've thought about it, you've put intention behind it, you understand why you're doing it, then you can start to look at, can I automate this? Can I, like I said, I'll set that recurring, and I'll make it recurring. I'll set that time block and I'll make it recurring. That's automated now. I don't have to
Mhm.
think about that again unless I want to change it. And why would I want to change it? I would want to change it because something has happened that has made me reevaluate what I'm doing and why. And now, okay, well, I already have a system here. It's not like there's nothing wrong with me. I just need to change the system. This shouldn't happen on a Thursday. This should happen on a Tuesday. Okay, that's 2 clicks and it's done. And like, I don't have to feel bad about myself. I didn't let anything down. I didn't do anything wrong. It's just not working anymore. And that's okay. I can fix that. I don't have to fix me. And I think that's the thing that, like, if I could tell somebody, like, why should you invest in systems? If you've ever felt like a failure, like deeply internally, it probably wasn't your fault. You probably just didn't have the support. And it's such an easy support thing to do if you know what you're doing. And so I think that's the whole point of this whole series, is to enlighten people on, here are options, here are things that you can do. And sometimes they're really simple, and simple meaning they're not complex. There's not a lot to it. But the simple things sometimes are the things that will get you the farthest.
Yes.
But sometimes the simple things, like I carve out 90 minutes a week for myself to no one needs me time. That's not easy to do all the time, because
Yes.
sometimes, the kid gets sick and they're at home and now I've missed that time. And I get a little grumpy when I miss that time. That's for real. So it's not always easy, and simple and easy are not the same thing. They are not actually synonyms. They do not mean the same thing. So that's my little soapbox there.
I
Just
love it.
when it's easy. So anyway, tell me
I
about
love
all
it.
yours, because I am so ready to like get some tea and like
Well,
what
so
I do in my life.
we basically are the same as far as like you were talking about. You close the week, whereas I prefer to open the week. Same thing, different day. Like that's just the way
Yeah.
of the flow. With our kids doing the 7,000, 5,200 bajillion sports,
Yes.
I do that all weekend. So my weekend does not close. My weekend has to reopen, or my week has to reopen. So Monday is where you're going to find me doing admin work, because that's what works in my season, which is not everyone's season. And we totally get that. I think that's the best thing about the habits and the rituals, is you adapt them to what works best for you in the time and the season that you're in. So it's not always been this way. But Monday is when I'm handling most of the admin work. That is 200% when I am scheduling out any marketing posts, social media, business budgeting, going in, looking at any invoicing, cost coding, all of the things. So pretty much Monday is blocked out for, how am I going to set the rest of the week up for success? And it kind of ties into my Sunday home routine, but also communicating with your spouse, like, this is what's coming down the pipeline. Here's when we're going to need childcare. I have work events or these deadlines this day at this time. You also have your work events and deadlines, because we have that synced calendar that we've talked about in the past. Like, how are we going to make this work? So I'm not crashing out. You can be in the office. I can still get X, Y, and Z done. We don't like leave a kid on a sidewalk somewhere. So there's all sorts of these.
Here.
Yes. Routines and rituals. Yes. So Monday is definitely the go to time. Also, on Monday, I am big into using AI to my advantage. So there are so many systems, and I know that AI is like seen as a scary word or what have you, but it's
I'm
not
not a
just,
personal fan, but I
yes,
see it. I recognize it's a tool, and I have a lot of people in my circles who do use it. I've got a friend who uses it for meal planning, and I'm like, that is genius. I love that for you. I have so many constraints for my meal planning that that's
yes.
not, but if I didn't, I would be using it for that.
Well, and I think too, as far as like AI goes, like I do like ChatGPT for ideation. I don't really prefer it for execution of anything, like developing a whole plan for anything, because it kind of spits out the same generic Bologna the whole way.
Yeah. That doesn't
But
give you an advantage. It's not an advantage if everyone else has it, just so you know.
yes,
It's a
yes. And
tool,
you can make it
but it's
specific,
not everything. Yeah.
but I prefer the specificity to come from my own thought bubbles. But I will say for using like ClickUp, Trello, they all have integrated these AI, and you can go in and ask it to summarize what's coming down the pipeline for the next week based on the projects. Instead of having to go through every single project, look at what's going to need to be done, kind of using it as a double checking a deadline, double
Oh,
checking what's
that's
on your
great.
calendar. Like it will
Like
give
another
you
keyword.
Yes, it will give you all of the details into one. And sometimes you might go through and be like, oh, shoot, I forgot that that appointment's coming up, or there's actually a deadline for this marketing thing. So I do like to use it to do my research as like compiling for my work. That's one big thing. And you had mentioned time blocking. You'd be surprised how many people I talk to who either don't time block or don't really even know where to start about time blocking.
Okay,
But
that's real. That's real. If you don't
yes,
know where to start, that's real. But time blocking is chef's
yes.
kiss. So let's talk more about that after you finished.
Well, so Motion is an AI, it's like an app, it's got its own desktop. So basically, you put in all the tasks that you want to complete. You put in, this should take me, now granted, you're not gonna, it's what it should take you. It should take me 2 hours. This I'm hoping to for an hour, da 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 da. And you hit plan, it will take your calendar and take your task and appropriately sync it so you can get everything that you want to be done in that week.
Yeah. Um,
So,
I'm gonna interject here because there's a lady
yes.
on TikTok called How Long Does It Actually Take? That's her series, where she takes
Oh,
the
I love
things that
that.
she's been procrastinating and then she does them in like a consolidated video. And then at the end, she says, here's how long it actually took me to complete this like regular household task. Like, I need to clean out this garage. How long does it actually take? So, if you're confused as to an actual amount of time, um that's a resource, right? There's somebody out there and she gets like millions of views and she's so funny.
Love
It's
it.
hilarious to watch her. I love watching her. I can't recall her name off the top of my head, but her series is How Long Does It Actually Take? Because you have to, that's the thing about AI as a tool, is you have to input some basic information to have
Yes.
it actually be a resource for you to give you what you need. So if you're like we said, you want to time block, you want to use these tools or you want to use these resources, but you're not sure how to get started, that can be an additional thing to help you figure out how long that might actually take you.
Well, and sometimes too, like for me, I'll be like, shoot, I need to run by and get an oil change, or I need to run by and get a car wash on the way to such and such client appointment. And it'll be like, oh, you're going to be right there. Run through the car wash, go to this meeting. It's like, oh, I wouldn't have even thought about inserting that into that time because it just wasn't a priority. So sometimes it really makes those low priority tasks that I really just don't fixate on, like getting
And you
gas,
are
you know?
you are running around a lot. That's not, and
Yes.
like I would, I'm actually pretty good about playing what I call playing Tetris with my schedule, which is to fit in those little things That's just how my mind works. But I'm not running around at the level that you're running around. I feel like you're like, I'm always, I mean, you have an oven for your car.
Yes,
Like
yes. It's
that's
a
my
lot.
level of commitment. No, no, I love it. And I feel like there are a lot of people out there who can relate to that. So I like the idea that it can help you like recognize the little points in your schedule. Or like, hey, you could slot this in here because you're already going to be in that general area.
Yes.
I don't really have that in my schedule. Like that's not really a thing for the season that I'm in. I'm sure the running around is coming at some point.
Yes, yes. It hasn't always been like this, but it does adapt to what we are doing currently. But there's a lot of times too that I think it can help you identify even those blocks of time that you could be really maximizing project times.
Yeah.
And now it has all these additional fancy features too, which you don't really need to buy into, but they've created all these extra motion workers that can help you do and complete certain tasks. If that's your fancy, great. For me, it was very overstimulating because I didn't need all the robots in the world. I just really started off with teaching myself time blocking and what was appropriate so then I could handle it better in this season of, hey, I'm going to be in Louisville. Hey, I'm going to be in Elizabethtown. Hey, I'm going to be here. Like, what city was I going to be in to be able to say, okay, pick up the groceries on the way home from here because you're going to have to go here and we're going to have to play in here and then we're going to have to drive back to the office here. So it's figuring out the city. If you're a traveling person as I am, kind of that has been a big thing. But also kind of pivoting from that. It's also figuring out in your season how to kind of maximize your zone of genius. And that's what I love. There's like a whole series about talking in podcasts and books about your zone of genius. So, my zone of genius is going to be different from yours. I prefer to have the operational tech stack heavy kind of taking that management workload off of me so I can pivot, play, be with my kids, but also I have to basically work out of my vehicle, which is not everybody's life lives behind a steering wheel listening to Taylor Swift on repeat. Shout out to the new album. But some of us have
Giving you life.
to, yes, has to. Some people might, because there are people in sales and marketing that travel and take constant appointments. So my zone of genius is really I don't want to spend a lot of time developing marketing plans and things of that nature. So that is something that I outsource or will find a tech stack. Like I've mentioned, I've used Rella. I'll find a tech stack that suits what I want it to do and create the scheduling so I can knock that out on a Monday and it's fully executed.
I think what we need to mention here, though, that's really important is that to make that work, you have to have a basic understanding of what it is that you want that tool to do. And that's where having like a workflow or a process that maybe it's documented or at least you have it well thought through in your head, that would be the first step. So if we're talking about people like wanting to do these things but not knowing how to get started, creating a workflow and like I have one right here because my husband is setting something up for me and he's like, I need you to tell me how you want this to work. And I was like, okay, I'll make you a workflow. And then I was like, I'm gonna document this so that next time I don't have to think about it. It's already done. That's the investment to give you a return. If you want an ROI on using things that are going to save you time, there's an investment. You're not going to see a return without putting an investment in. So this is the investment. You have to have an understanding of what it is that you want to do. Now, you have a really good understanding because you're so operations focused.
But that might not
Not
be your
everyone
zone
is
of
like that.
genius. Yeah, that's what
Right.
I'm saying
Not
is it
everyone is
might
like
not
that.
be. But
Yeah.
a lot of
But
people who are
everybody
in a season of outsourcing could OBM or an online business manager or a virtual assistant or finding something that's adaptable in similar systems that would work for them.
but everyone is going to know what outcome they want to see. That's what I'm trying to get at is that it doesn't matter what your zone of genius is, where you start is what do I want to have happen? What do I want to see the outcome be? So knowing that is where to start. If you didn't know where to start before, that's the nugget for today. Think about what you want to have happen, and then you can start to project out and say, okay, what's the best tool for me? Is it, like Asana to help me manage my tasks? Is it Chat GPT to help me figure out, like summarize my plan that I've already done, like you've talked about? Or is it Motion to help me time block my time? Because those things aren't in my zone of genius. I like to say, if you're going to hire a VA or someone, you're going to outsource something to someone, having that workflow, knowing what that will help you know whether or not investing in that person, in that service, is actually serving you, because you'll have a little checklist of what you want to have happen. And if those things don't happen, then maybe that's not the right investment for you, right? If you're not getting that outcome that you were looking for, that might not be the right investment. But if you are getting that outcome that you're looking for, it's easy to justify continuing to pour money or resources or time or energy into using that resource. So
Well, and
that's
you also
that's the
have
whole
to train a VA or an OBM, and like you have to provide them the resources
point.
to execute said steps. So you will not find yourself relieving or eliminating any time if they are constantly pinging you because you did not give them the tools or necessary steps up front. And they are saying, I need this from you, this from you, this from you, this from you. Well, that's not really saving you time. Now you're just kind of babysitting the emotional person who's supposed to be taking that off of your plate.
Now you're micromanaging the person
Yes.
that was
And so
supposed to take
that
those
needs
decisions off
to
of
be
you.
a whole episode within itself. Like start here, end here. And then when we do our Q&A, that's another good place for people to ask questions about kind of what they can guide through all of that. But another thing that I like to do for kind of pivoting into that, like I had mentioned for my system, I'm not going to go into this too in depth, but just batching content, because for me, I prefer to do that when I am pivoting to this next topic, but I like to record podcast back to back to back to back to back. I'm already dressed, my hair is already done, I already
Yeah.
have the lighting set up, like I already know what my talking points are. I've read through who I'm interviewing for the day. If I do 4 of those at 30 minutes, 2 hours of my time, I have a month worth of content because I
Yeah.
take the snippets and everything from that. And then I'm not having to take 30 minutes here, 30 minutes here, 30 minutes here. And with my ADHD, I'm pivoting between tasks constantly back and forth, record a podcast, check an email, do a project, da, da, da. My brain doesn't operate in that space.
I'm recording a podcast at 2 p.m. and that means nothing can happen I'm just going to freak out about timing up until 2 p.m.
Yes. Yes.
No, I'm gonna record 2 solid hours, and there's minimal freak out time before that starts, and
Yes.
then after that's over, I can go do something else. It's real. It's
Yeah,
totally
it's
real.
so real. And then like, my therapist says all the time that I get so frustrated with, and she's totally right, the flipping back and forth, because it's so hard for my brain to create those adaptations. So, batching content for me is just knocking it all out, and then it's there. I can schedule a time separately to edit it or produce it if I want, but the actual creating the words coming out of my mouth or talking to someone or what have you, creating the email workflow or however it is, that can all be done in one fell swoop. And that is either admin heavy or batch content. But it kind of pivots into something that I got totally nerded out on, which was for my business was cycle syncing, because I have an Aura ring. They are not cheap, full disclaimer, but I've had one for forever. And there's 100 different ways to track all of the things with your cycle as a female. But really knowing what phase of your cycle you are going to be in has helped me plan when I want to batch content, because I know I'm not going to be feeling like dog trash when I'm on the podcast or in this phase of just feeling grungy, grimy. I know I'm not going to really want to be out executing events, talking to people. But then you get on the other side of it and it's like, oh, you're a whole new human, sis. You've got all the things done. You're out in the world. You're talking, you're vibing, you're high fiving, kissing babies, shaking hands. that's the phase I want people to see me in for my business is the strongly executed, ready to go extrovert self. Not when I'm like in the bed with my heated blanket watching Virgin River, like crying over fictional characters. It's probably
Yeah.
not the prime time for me to be
Virgin River is the
working.
perfect show for that. 100%.
Yeah. Like that's not in my workflow conducive of anything what I want to do. So that is when I'm getting those more introverted tasks done is not really when I'm crying in bed, but in
Sure.
the moment of I don't want to be around people. And
Forward
so,
facing. You want to be customer
yes,
facing when you don't feel great. I have a slightly different version of this, so I don't necessarily sync to my cycle. Although I do track my cycle, but I don't
yes,
necessarily sync to it. But I do have a wearable. I have an Apple Watch, and I wear it while I sleep so that it tracks my sleep. And so the first thing I do when I wake up in the morning is look and see how was my sleep last night and how am I feeling right now. And if my sleep, like sometimes I'll have like really long periods of like being awake and I don't feel at my best, and that in that moment like I'll look at like what's on my schedule for today, and I give myself permission to, if I need to reschedule something, I can move it to a time and place where like I feel better about it. But like you are talking about like making content and like being forward facing, my biggest content comes from like writing. Like and so I have to kind of access my creativity, and I have a couple of like different things that like it's a little checklist that needs to happen before like I can access that part of my creativity. So like we have very similar
yes,
processes at a basis, right? Like we need these things to happen so that we feel like we can get this output, but very different ways about going about how we get to that. So I just want to highlight this for the people who are listening, that there are commonalities that run through for everyone, but then there are also some things that are super different and unique to each person. So the options that we're laying out for you, that we're giving you, what we're meaning for you to do is like take the root basis and then adapt it to yourself so that it's applicable to you, that it supports you. Like that's the whole point, is that it supports you based on your checklist of needs, the things that you wanted to do. And so I think that's so interesting because like I can deeply relate to like waking up in the morning just being like, this is not it. Today
yes.
is not the day. This is
Well,
not going
and
to.
there's a lot of times too that I still get this is TMI for all the people listening. Welcome to the inside circle. So I still really struggle with menstrual migraines and I can predict when they're coming on. So like nobody wants to talk to me if I'm like violently ill. I've had them forever. And so if I can predict when those are, I can kind of know this is not a good time for me to be driving to another city to meet with a client or
Sure.
recording a
Yeah.
podcast because I am going to be literally unwell from this day to this day or this day to this day, dependent. And
Yeah.
it's like to the point where I can mainly kind of figure that out. But I have to ask you, I'm going to throw you a curveball question live. Are you ready? I want to know what takes you to your most creative space because I have something that takes me to my most creative space. Like you said, you have a list of things that like unlock the creativity. I want to know what yours is because I want to see if ours are like sort of similar. And they could be totally and they could be like wildly outlandish. But
I have two things, and the basis of them is sort of the same. So the first thing is anything that I don't meditate. I am not laying on the floor with my eyes closed, focused on my breathing. My energy does not do that. But things like making bread or baking or cooking like for myself where I can be creative, those things can be meditative processes. Taking a walk for me is a very good way to access that like meditative process, and that kind of drops me into a creative space. The curveball to that, the other side of that, which is sort of similar, is taking a shower or taking a bath, being in water, or like just like focusing on the feeling of water, like that sensory feeling can also get me to a really creative space. Sometimes if I'm feeling really woo woo about it, I'll get out like my oracle cards and I'll like ask a question and then I'll see what comes up. I learned that tip from a coach that I've been working with. I've used that a couple of times. That's been really helpful. But yeah, I've got to be in that kind of no one needs me right now. I need me and I can access my energy and then I can be creative with it. That's kind of part of my checklist. Like if someone's like yelling at me in the house like, "Hey, where's this thing?" or "Can you take me to so and so's house?" I'm not in that space because
That's
I'm
so relatable.
yeah.
This take me to so and so's house. I'm like, have you ever like thought about having a conversation with me outside of a request? Maybe, maybe we could start with that first before we just dive right in
My
there.
kids are great. They do generally start out with having the request comes next. And that's the thing, right? Like someone else is asking something of us, regardless of how that happens. I'm not feeling creative if I'm needing to like run you to the store for yarn. That's our thing. Can you take me to the craft store to get yarn? Because my kids are like super into crocheting right now. It's just so fun. I love seeing what they make. But yeah, I need this. Can you help me get this? Can you help me do this? What do you think about this? Can I watch TV? And then the TV is on. And then I'm like, okay, I have to go somewhere else where the TV's not on so I can like focus. It's a whole thing.
Yes. Yes. Well, so we are sort of similar. I will say
Mm.
nothing about a shower or bath with my toddler is ever relaxing. Not like
I mean
him,
alone.
he just,
I mean
well, no,
alone.
he does not, he's not even in the room, but we're really in this era right now where we sit outside the bathroom door and just talk through the shower door. And
Just
I'm like, there's
little
7,000
brain.
other people in here that you could be having a conversation with. But he
Yeah.
waits until I'm inside the shower with the bathroom.
When
Like I have
you
to lock it, and then he
when
sits
you
and wants to
that's
tell me all the things. So, yeah, no, I couldn't. In this season, I cannot relate to that because I don't find that relaxing. I just find that like a delay of me saying, uh-huh, 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 over and over. But I
but
will
your
say,
shower space is a human need that you must complete. It is but
yes,
I've always found that to be like a place where I would get like downloads or I would like feel really creative or get an idea or be inspired, which I always just thought was super weird because like then what I want is I want my phone so I can like do a voice note or I can like write some stuff out. I'm like, obviously I cannot access that if I am in the shower. So then I'm like hopping out of the shower, soaking wet, trying to like capture the lightning in a bottle. So sometimes it sounds really glamorous, but it's not in like actuality, you know?
yes, yes. Yeah, I think it would be better if I was not talking about like Spider-Man or, you know, the Incredible Hulk or something that does not provide creative space. But I will
Something
say,
that didn't start by happening with a terrible lab accident. Yeah, I get
yeah,
that.
yeah. I will say the most creative space ever, you kind of nailed it for me, is the walk. I thrive on the walk. And like it sounds so simplistic. And I was a hater of walking around the neighborhood for like a hot minute. But well, now I'm not going to walk around the neighborhood because it's going to be like -4 eventually. We've already hit like the down, like we go from like really big summer to like insta winter. Like the fall is just fake here. You get it for like 2 weeks and then it's insta winter. So I'm in the middle of fake fall right now, and I'll go to insta winter soon. But the walk and listening to a podcast about like something inspirational. And I don't really have to even be fully like tracking, but that really does it for me. Like
Like
somebody
1580
talking.
playlists. They're not podcasts. It's just
Yes.
music. Like music can transport me back to like a specific time in my life. And then I have this is like, I'm gonna admit this on air. I'm gonna admit this live. I have an entire playlist of just Enya songs, which
There you
is
go.
super inspiring to me. I get my best ideas when I'm on a walk and I'm listening to Enya. So shout out to Enya. Love that. She's just in a castle in like Ireland or Scotland or whatever with all of her cats and just like, yes, I am
Living life.
streaming everything still. Pure moods from the 90s. It comes forward, you
I
know.
love it. Yeah, it's like I don't do music on the walk though. Like I want to hear about some random person's biggest win. Like I want to hear the hype story, the triumph story. At this point, I don't even care if it's true. Like you could just be totally making up the whole thing, but it's just like the vibe, the good energy of all
I'm
of
gonna
these
send you like
people.
inspirational voice notes now. I'm gonna like make my own little podcast
Yeah.
for you
It's
that
like
I'm
this girl has got it. She has overcome. We are giving her snaps and claps and all the good vibes. Like, I just want good energy vibes from women entrepreneurs on a podcast. I don't really want to be lectured. Like, I don't really want them to be telling me what to do or any of that. But I
I also
want
don't want to
them
be
to,
shamed. I don't want to be
yeah,
shamed.
no.
That's
No,
not
no,
the
no, no,
vibe.
no. I just want to hear about the good stuff. Like if you want to tell me that you went and got a great pair of jeans at X, Y, and Z and it was the best pair of jeans you've ever had in your life, great. I'll listen to that. If you want to tell me about
I
the
did actually.
project, yes,
I
like
did.
that's what I want to hear. I want to hear about the wins.
Nordstrom rack, and I love them. I'm not wearing them right now, so I'm not going to stand up and show you. I did actually do that,
We're
and
so
keep trying
inundated.
so hard.
Yes. And we're so inundated with negative content, TikTok, media, politics, news, all the things. Like, I just want a podcast that's going to tell me what they like about their skincare routine or something that is non chaotic that I just love and I want to be a part of. And I want to feel like I'm talking to a friend and they're going to tell me all their favorite stuff and I can just walk and be in all the good vibes. That's all I want. And then I come back and I'm like inspired to do all
No.
these, yes, all these crazy, outlandish things. That's like what puts me in the zone. And I would have never have guessed that about myself. Like and it's not even like in the yes, and it's not even like a self-help situation because they're not really teaching me anything. But it's like there is so much good in the world that gets oversawn by like all of this negative media and just junk I don't care about. I probably should care about, but like it's not.
This that it takes like 20 separate like praises for a child to counteract like one negative interaction. I might be
Yeah.
quoting that wrong, but it's a big swing. Which I think is what you're highlighting here. Like, if you put yourself into a situation or a scenario where you're kind of being flooded with that high vibe, this is good stuff that's happening, then you
Yes.
yourself are raising, and by walking as well, you're dropping into your body. So doing that all at once really is just sort of energetically and mindset like putting you into this like really special fun place to access your creativity. I kind of like that. Maybe I might steal that
The
for
best.
myself.
And it makes my work so much better. I love it. Like I
Yeah.
absolutely love it because I am inspired by women entrepreneurs in this positive space. Nobody is having a negative Nancy day. They could have recorded this. Like, I'm like scrolling back sometimes into the depths of these people's
Mhm.
podcast. I'm like, I don't care if it's from 2023. They had a great day in 2023. I'm having a great day today. Content lives forever, people. Like live it there. And it's so
The internet is.
yes. Well, and like it goes to like a short snippet here. I was like sitting there watching the Criminal Minds like rerun, love a good criminal, and then I'd be like, why am I so stressed out? I don't know, sis. You just watch like 3 hours of like a murder mystery. Like probably your nervous system is like dysregulated. Like go touch grass, go. And so I had to really be
Yeah,
conscious of my
I can't do true
creativity.
crime. I can't do it. It's not
Yes,
for
and
me.
what I was absorbing and then putting that back into my work was really important because I really thought I was going to do all these Criminal Mind episode and then like 2 episodes deep, I'm like I can't sleep and I'm stressed about somebody like breaking into my house to kill me and put me in a box somewhere and I'm like okay, let's tone it down. It's very true though of that absorption, but all of these work things to say that like the rhythms and the routines they're adaptable. They are whether it's a tech stack or a rhythm or routine or something that you're going to put into place to help amplify your work, your outfit. All of it is such a jam.
One last question for you.
I'm ready.
Because you're on your fitness journey. And I am too.
Yes.
And I do recovery days. Wednesdays are my recovery days where the only movement I do is like a nice gentle walk and I do like a little bit of a longer walk. Do you have quote unquote recovery days in your work? Because I do. And I think that maybe that I just want to highlight that when you go
Yes.
hard, just like in fitness, if you lift really heavy in a session, your body and your mind needs time to recover and sort of like implement all that work and put itself back together. So if you've been going hard in your work schedule, consider like baking in not necessarily rest time, right? Because when we're working, we're not necessarily resting, but at least some time that is a lower focus task or a gentlerly scheduled, that's not a word, a less heavy scheduled day, right? Where you can just
Yes.
kind of, and maybe that's the morning where you're like, I'm going to treat myself to my favorite coffee, or I'm going to, and
You
that way
sleep in.
that day, yeah, that way that day is like, such a good day in your mind and you can like that the physical benefits, the mental benefits, the emotional benefits of just dialing it down a notch. And then the next day, like it's so refreshing, right? We talked about this. Like it's almost like a reset when you do your walks. Like there are other ways to access that sort of reset energy. And so I wanted to highlight that for folks that that's accessible as well. And you can still move the needle on those days. You can still get things done. You're just not going hard. And I know from my own experience that I can only quote unquote go hard for so long before I will crash out. And I think everyone can relate to having had a moment of that. And so there's that adage of like, take a day of rest or your body will choose it for you. That's that we're baking that into our weeks already. We get to choose. That's us being intentional. That's us choosing as opposed, and I'm saying that as I'm like wiping my nose because my children have shared their cold with me. I did not choose that. That just happened. But
Well, I
I
love that you keep saying baking it in, and you said that cooking is one of your things that you allow for like creativity. And it's like we also as adults have just forgotten how to play. We've forgotten how to,
it is play for me. That is my version of
yes,
play. And then there's something delicious
create,
that I get to enjoy, which is makes me really happy.
create, cook. Like my middle child is the constant reminder for me. Like she likes to do art and all of these things. And how uncomfortable is it? I was thinking about this the other day, sitting down and like being a Barbie doll's voice as a grown adult. Like you just don't think about things like that until you have these kids and then you're in it. And it's like I work so hard that I have forgotten how to use my imagination and be inspired by X, Y, and Z. And I think that's so critical to put back into the
I
work.
do like little tablescapes, like on my dining room table. And I'm getting into orchids. I've never had a green thumb before. TikTok, I've gone through to the rabbit hole of how to, and my husband's like, wow, you didn't kill this one. And then he got me another one. And then his mom was like, maybe you could try to like keep this one alive. So now I have three of them. And I'm
I
just
love
like,
it.
all right, my little babies. And make sure you're watered. I'm getting ready. I'm going to try propagating one. So yes, play is important. Like the work hard, play hard. I don't really want to do anything hard anymore. wanna, I just want to be that steady, like, okay, we're going to work and we're going to play. And I don't have to do anything hard and I don't have to do anything the hard way.
Yes. Amen.
I always have support available to me. I just have to go seek it out. And so, anyway, that's it. I just wanted to ask you about that because I think that is another work ritual that deserves some spotlight attention to just less scheduled for a day. Just take a little, just dial it back.
Love it. I think that is a perfect place to finale the work episode. And we're going to put some Q&As on the interwebs. You're welcome for questions that you want to ask about any of these episodes. And we are very cognizant that you've not heard them clearly when we're putting these questions out, but we will be doing, blah, blah, if words are hard, some marketing, or at least I'm going to reach out and say, what do y'all want to know about? And then Julie can do the same, and we will circle back to all of the whole series
We'll meet again and we'll wrap it all up and we'll address as much as we can.
and put a creative bow on it and maybe some sourdough. So you're welcome. Yeah, I know.
Thank you for having me. This has been a
Yes,
delight. This is my favorite thing to talk.
I love it. We will chat soon.
Hey, thanks.